Hello and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like, share it with your family, friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. And here's another fly. These flies in this frickin' room. So here we go. This story is about a guy named Rodriguez, who once upon a time was housed at the Federal Correctional Institution in Terre Haute, Louisiana. Indiana, Louisiana. So I arrived at Terre Haute in 2012, and I don't remember, and I was housed in C Block. At some point, 2013 or 14, I started hearing about a guy named Rodriguez who was supposed to be like this great tattoo artist who lived down in M Block. M Block was on the other end of the hall. It's not like I mingled with a whole bunch of people at that time. My program was pretty much I walk in the morning and I come back in and I was writing or listening to the news or talk radio or whatever, reading, writing, whatever. That's pretty much what I did during that time span. At some point, let's say was it 2016, I finally met Rodriguez. So it had been some years that I've heard about this guy, but I've never actually seen him. And to my surprise, I heard that he was white, but he had the last name Rodriguez, okay. But when I saw him, he looked like had Mexican or Hispanic kind of blood in him. Come to find out, I think he was adopted, blah, 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 but he ran in the white car. And sure enough, he moved into C Block and he started doing tattoos, and he was a pretty decent tattoo artist. Not as great as everybody said, but the guy was good. Rodriguez was a guy that was like a lot of guys in prison. Usually there's one that is like a fiend book freak. Pornography, you know. I had a friend at Leavenworth. I named him Cockbook Brian. There was a guy named Pickett I did a story about. That was a guy at Lewisburg. And I'd say that if, you know, Rodriguez was heavily into the whole porn thing. Pornography in prison was taken out in 2000. A lot of the old books were grandfathered in. Over the years, those books then became photocopies, black and white photocopies. So there was like a lot of black and white photocopies of girls from 70s, 80s, 90s, old stuff. And they get new porn in sometimes too. Guards will bring it in, and you know that goes for like $1 million a book. I think it's like $300 for a brand new Playboy or Penthouse or something. I don't know. I never bought one. Anyway, so it was well known that Rodriguez was one of the guys that, you know, you can go get porn from, or was a porn hustler or whatever. Every day at 1 o'clock, there is what's called the census count. That is the cop, everybody has supposed to lock in their cell, and the cop does count. Sometimes they do bed book to see who's in the unit. That's the way they're really supposed to do it. But they do a count to see how many people are in the unit, and does that coincide with how many people are supposed to be at work or whatever. They also want to see if they catch people out of bounds, like if you're not supposed to be in units. And I think it was initially done for escape reasons. During that time, especially if a guy's single cell or their cellie is not there, that's a good time to masturbate. I mean, straight up, it is. And C Block actually had communal bathrooms with toilets that had a wall that divided in between that was only about this high, center block wall. So if you walk in the bathroom and you're going to use like one of the urinals or you're going to use the sink, I mean, you can see everybody who's on the toilet sitting down doing that. Some guys would hide behind the door because they don't want to be seen when they drop a deuce. And other guys just will talk. You can see everybody. There's like 5 toilets, I think it was. Usually one of them was broken or 2 of them was broken, but there was the toilet stalls in the back. And there are sometimes you can tell the guys are masturbating on the toilets too. That's true, especially if you go in there at nighttime or during count, certain times, different things. Well, it was at 1 o'clock census count. The guard walked through, and then he'll yell, "Count clear." That means census clear. That doesn't mean you can go run around. That means you can go to use the bathroom. Again, there's no water in the cells. No, there's no bathroom in the cell. No water in the cells at all in C Block. That's right. Well, I walk into the bathroom, urinal or whatever, and I just happened to peep Rodriguez in the back corner toilet, who was like bright red and like, he like was looking like this, and I'm like, oh, okay, so like, it didn't look like somebody who was like masturbating, but more panicked, but my thought was, oh, he's back there hitting it, boom. So I was like, oh man, that's kind of, because like when you walk into that, it's kind of like, fuck, So I believe I made even some kind of comment to him, like I said something to him when I was walking out, and he never said a word. Now this guy joked around a lot, he was on Playtime. So even if he would have seen me in normal circumstances, he would have looked at me, like he would have said something, hey Rob, I see you, or just something. He would have made some kind of comment. That's the kind of guy he was, but he did not. Again, he looked kind of panicked. Well, about at the end of count, so around 2 o'clock, the guard comes running walking really fast down the range. Rodriguez lived upstairs. It was a cell above, right next to the TV. I forgot what cell it was exactly. And all of a sudden you hear the guard go, ah, shit. What had happened is Rodriguez had a medical emergency going on that toilet when I saw him. When the guard from the toilet, he then went to the guard and said, listen, I have this problem. I need medical attention quick. The guard then sends him out, and Rodriguez is down the hall, whatever. When the guard came and cleared count, opened the door, he said, oh shit. What he was saying was the smell, what he smelled. And what he smelled was feces, shit. All on the floor, there was pornography books. He had them laid out on the floor. The window was blocked in the back. It was dark in the room, but there was feces in the cell. And there was a broomstick. A broomstick. The broomstick had blood and feces on it. The guard then says afterwards, like one of the orderlies basically cleaned the cell or whatever, and people are like, what's going on? He's like, that sick motherfucker shoved an apple up his ass. Rodriguez was getting apples from the chow hall. Now there's big ones, little ones, I don't know. And he was pulling like a Richard Gere. Back in the day, it said Richard Gere put gerbils in them. He was sticking apples up his butt and masturbating. And all the guards told all the inmates. Now this guy did get rushed out. They couldn't deal with this in medical. They had to rush him to the outside hospital. By the time staff did a shift change, when new staff came on, all the new guards were in the hall talking about it. I'm talking about it spread throughout the institution like wildfire. Rodriguez was out in the hospital for a couple hours, and as I saw this, as he walked back in, you can hear guys yell, hey, Rodriguez, you got an apple up, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And this guy's face, because I'm sure that he wasn't prepared for the guards to do what they did. And they outed him. I mean, probably you're not supposed to do that if they're guards, but they completely outed him, and everybody knew, and people were laughing, and and he went into protective custody. He couldn't show his face. He told the guards, hey, I'm not going back to this compound, fuck that, send me to the hole. He then was dubbed Apple Bottom from that point on. He was in the hole for a little while, and I think he was transferred to Beaumont, I'm not sure. But what they did, and probably did it because they shamed him, because the staff outed him. I'm sorry, I forgot one key point. The medical department told all the inmates down in medical when Rodriguez was leaving that he had an apple stuck in his ass. So medical outed him why he was, he left, and then medical outed him. So he didn't hear medical out him, but everybody that was in medical at that time knew what happened. So probably because they felt like, they shouldn't have done that to him, whatever. the way it was all spun, so when he went to a different joint, I'm putting it out there right now, people know about it in different joints already, was they said that he had a cell phone stuck up his ass. So that's what staff did for him. They said it wasn't an Apple, it was a cell phone, but 100% it was an Apple. And after that, every time they had apples, they cut them in half. They do that at female joints, I heard, on hot, who knows? They say women can't get solid hot dogs. I don't know. Or carrots, whole carrots, whatever. But they started cutting up our apples. And you couldn't have apple, so you couldn't bring it back, so you couldn't stick them up your ass. So that's a story, true story out of FCI Terre Haute about old Apple Bottom. Old Rodriguez. Yes, sirree. My God, man. Oh, my God. That was crazy how that just, it was all happening. Anyway, let's see if I can get this up on today. It's Sunday.